Hello, folks, and welcome back to the second ever hobby hangout. Little bit of a kind of last minute thing this, or if we haven't got many in the chat tonight, that's all fine. At least it means I'm getting some painting done, which is kind of the purpose of these things, really. We do have a few in the chat actually already. Christian was in there nice and early there, so thanks for dropping in, Christian, mate. I also have my wife there, Luby, saying, coming to see what all the fuss is about. I think you've seen me sitting painting, and you probably think it's not that impressive. So I can't imagine you're going to waste your night away in a hotel tonight with work by sitting watching me doing this. Kyle's in as well. He says, just about to dive into the garage, so hobby. Nice one, mate. I'll see you when you get there. Tom D's in as well. Says, hi all, and hi Andy as well. Thank you, mate. And Phil Wilkinson's in and says, hi everyone. Hope you're all having a good evening. So, like I said, these kind of are just kind of impromptu things. They're never really planned too far in advance. I kind of take the opportunity if I get a spare couple of hours, really just to do a bit of painting. And last time we did the painting, let me just look over the camera. So last time we painted. I don't know what you painted, but I painted this up. So this is one of the Splintered Fang from Warcry. So I'm just gonna carry on and keep going with them. So if you remember last time, I put the contrast paint on the skin paint, the skin kind of layer, if you like, onto this one while I was waiting for the other one to dry. Tonight, I'm not really planning to just try and kind of finish a miniature tonight, I don't think. I think I'm just going to hobby as I would do and just kind of do them as a batch. So let me know in the chat what you folks are painting tonight. And I will kind of talk through some of my methods. I got some really good feedback from folks saying that, let me think back a second while I talk about this. I got some good feedback from folks saying that basically because I'm not a pro painter, and I take that in the intention it was meant, that people just felt a bit more kind of confident to get their paints out and share what they're doing because it's not intimidating when you're trying to watch kind of like, like the pro painters and stuff like that. And the stuff I'm doing is pretty basic stuff, so anybody who is new to the hobby can kind of follow what I'm doing as well. So that's the plan tonight. And what I'm going to do tonight really is just kind of show you how I batch paint, I suppose. That's probably a good way to do anything. So tonight I'm starting with, I've opened it now, so let's not spill it, with the contrast Glumin Flesh. And I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to kind of do all the flesh on the Splintered Fang. So we'll start with them one at a time. Let me know in the chat what you folks are painting tonight. We've got James is coming as well, saying hi to everybody. Paul's in as well there. Hello, Pomsy, mate. Said he's just popping in for a minute. He's just finished a game of Underworlds and still got to do his dinner as well. Yeah, I've just seen in our Discord group, which is for Patreons and Facebook members, just seen that he got beat. So let's not talk about that. We got Mark in as well, saying, "Hey up guys, Darcy Bono Creations is in. Saying, thanks for your Warcry videos. They really helped me dive in, and now I'm obsessed." Well, thank you very much for the kind words. Tolmart's in as well. Spud's up. Hello Spud, how you doing, mate? He's asking how everyone in the chat is, and Phil's saying he's painting the last 3 Ultramarines from Shadowspear. And Ruth just sneaks in there as well. So yes, Splintered Fangs. Let me try. What I have done is, last live stream I kept leaning in front of the camera over here. I've moved my laptop to the other side this time. So yeah, let's see how it goes this time. So, as I mentioned before, I will try and sort of get better at this, so I can kind of make sure it's on camera. How's that? Is that close enough for everyone? Do you want it to be a little bit closer? Would it be better if it was a bit closer to the camera? Like I say, I'm still just getting used to this stuff. So it's one thing filming painting videos when you can go back and edit it and that kind of stuff and take out all the bits where I start painting like this. It's alright when I do that kind of stuff, but when I'm painting live, it's a bit of pressure to it actually randomly. I mean, I think last time when I was doing it, I kind of just got into it over a period of time. Really, you kind of relax after a little while and you start just getting into the painting really and stop worrying about it. But yeah, when you initially kick off and you realise there's people sitting watching, get a bit of added pressure. Can you imagine sitting in your house, sitting painting and having like, how many we got? We got 30 people at the minute. 30 people are sitting over your shoulder watching you. I can imagine that might feel quite a bit of pressure. So, yeah, so we're painting up the Splintered Fang tonight. I'm just going to, like I said before, if anybody's just dropped into the chat, I'm just going to just batch paint as if I was just sitting on my own, really. So in the last video we did a full model from start to finish. Tonight I'm just doing a bit of hobby really, and just trying to crack on. And the whole point of these hobby hangout really is just it motivates me to sit and paint. Although I'm not really struggling at the minute. But I must admit, if I hadn't been doing the live stream tonight, I probably would have just sat and watched the film instead. So it has kind of prompted me to get the brushes out tonight. So it's to kind of prompt me to get a bit of hobby in. But it also means that when you folks don't much feel like it, it's a bit of a nudge for you as well. So it just kind of makes you want to sort of sit down, stick this on in the background, listen to me ramble for an hour or so, and just get a bit more, get some more painting done. It just feels like you're not sitting painting on your own, I think, when you're doing it like that, because painting is quite a solitary thing unless you have a group that you paint with. There are a few people that do kind of sort of like hobby hangouts, but not live stream them. They used to do it, I think, on what was it called, Google Hangouts and stuff. But since that seems to have Google Hangouts has kind of stopped now, or it's certainly about to stop. I think there's probably less and less of them now. Who else we got in the chat? James is saying once he gets home, he's going to be working on some Crypt Infernals for Flesh Eater Courts Warband. Tim Cafferty has just come in as well. Hello, buddy. Christian is saying he might make a start on his Fox for Burrows and Badgers. Your Burrows and Badgers stuff, mate, looks super, super smooth. That painting that you've done just looks really, really, it's really clean. You know what I mean? It's like when you take a picture of it and you stick it on Facebook or on Instagram or something, kind of magnifies all the little errors and all the little mistakes. It always looks great, really nice and clean and clear. So yeah, kudos on that, mate. Who else we got? Different Gear TV's in. Hello, Busey, how you doing? Al Cluley's had a dive in there as well. Spudsy on the camera looks alright. I'll crack one if that's the case, then, mate. Thompson, even all. Spud says, you making it to ChillCon this Sunday? It's looking unlikely, mate, because I'm already away Friday and Saturday with the family, and we're going to drive back on Saturday from the northwest, and then I am back to Manchester with work on Monday. So it's quite a bit of driving, mate. So it's looking unlikely, but we'll see. I'm now trying to work out if those are trousers she's got on. I think there's kind of some gaps in them. I think I'll have to just paint that whole thing there and paint over the top for the trousers. So yeah, mate. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Where else we at? JJ's in as well. Hello, Andy says you've lost the beard because I've just grown one. Yes, mate. I think it was the weekend I shaved it off. It's still a bit of a shock to the system now, although stubble's starting to come back in a little bit. It's surprising how fast it's starting to come. How quickly, I should say. How quickly it's starting to come back in. Says I'm listening to you while editing a video. Looking good so far. I can't do that, mate. I can't edit and listen to something else at the same time. I have to listen to the sound of the video, otherwise it just gets completely sidetracked. There's got a few kind of stray hairs stuck into this from somewhere. Flying Marble saying no painting for you tonight. Just finished some, but definitely watching people or seeing others paint gives inspiration. Your Corvus Cabal that you've just finished look pretty special. You should be rightly proud of those ones. Very, very good job. I think Warcry in general, from what the kind of, community's pretty friendly, to be fair. But it seems to be kind of prompting a lot of people to break out the brushes and get stuff done. So it's I'm quite pleased it's having that effect, really. But it's always nice to see people painting, regardless of what their skill level is. Not that I'm suggesting yours is anything but good there, Ruth. But yeah, getting stuff done is what it's all about. Now these ones, one of the issues I can't actually see. Oh yeah, it's the back of the leg there. It's quite difficult. This one's got kind of, you can't really see on the camera, but it's like it's got some kind of like sort of weird leather chaps on. So it's hard to know which bits are skin and which bits are not. No doubt, I'm sure I'll miss some of it and we'll come back to it, but yeah, that looks good enough for now. We'll put one to the next one. Where we are. Yeah, Ruth saying she loves Christian's Toad. Yeah, the burrows and badges. Look, I'd never really kind of seen them close up until I was at UK Games Expo, and I saw them in the flesh, like in the cabinets and stuff. And the quality of those little animal miniatures is really, really nice. I was quite impressed with them, really. And if I didn't already have 250 games on the go at the time, I'd have I might well have picked some up. But no, it's interesting actually, because I was having a chat on a Facebook group there, talking about having 250 games on the go. I was talking in a Facebook group today to a lad who has a YouTube channel, and he's just finished uni, so he's kind of got a bit more time on his hands, and he's just picked up Aeronautica Imperialis, and he's done a cool unboxing video of it. And then he was kind of saying, so what other things do people want to see? And people were saying, oh, what about gameplay videos? What about painting videos? All the kind of usual stuff. And I kind of said to him, look, you have to really make what you want to make stuff for yourself at this stage. Because I'd been reading a book. There's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. You may or may not have heard of him. He's kind of like a bit of a social media guru type thing. Talks about YouTube and Twitter and kind of online social marketing and stuff. And he's got a book called Crushing It, and it's quite inspiring actually, as far as it is kind of that kind of book. And he one of the things he says is, if you want to kind of turn your hobby into your job type thing, which is the reason I was reading it. It was about basically just, if you can't think of 50 things to either make a video about or to write a blog about or any of that kind of stuff, or take photographs of, if you can't think of 50 things, then it's probably not your passion. If it really truly is your passion, you'll be kind of brimming over with ideas of stuff, of things that you want to make and things you want to write about and things you want to photograph or whatever. And it's changed a lot about the way I do stuff now. So as you'll notice, my channel used to jump around all over the place, covering 250 different games. And these days it's been a lot more focused. And one of the reasons it's been more focused is because I've found something that I honestly can think of sort of 50 things I want to make videos about. Having the time to do it is a completely different thing, but when it comes to things like live streams, I'm not really struggling for ideas. When it comes to kind of making a video, I've got a list of stuff I want to do. I just need to kind of find the time for it. And yeah, it's one of those things. And then what happens is basically is that once you start making videos about the same thing, people start to kind of come back to your channel. When you're making videos about sort of 25 or 250 different things, you end up with a bit of a casual audience who'll pick and choose what they watch and what they come and see and what they don't come and see, which is exactly what was happening when I started doing 5 videos a week. Whilst my content was all focused around tabletop gaming, whether it be that board gaming or miniature games or whatever it was, or painting, I don't think I've kind of really thought it through at a time, but each one of those videos almost appealed to a different audience. And whilst there is a kind of a really strong core of people that come back and watch a lot of the stuff that I do kind of make, it wasn't the kind of stuff that people necessarily wanted to subscribe to. It wasn't the kind of stuff that really would make you want to kind of stay tuned. It was one of those casual things where people dropped in and out and just watched the bits that they wanted. And it wasn't necessarily, I wasn't necessarily kind of like, I enjoy the whole YouTube stuff, making videos and doing the whole process, but it wasn't necessarily doing me any good either, really. It forced me down a route of doing lots of different things, painting lots of things, playing lots of games to try and sort of to review them from board game perspective. And it actually become quite tiring, and I probably stopped enjoying the hobby as much as I probably had done previously. So for me, Warcry's been a bit of a double-edged, not a double-edged sword, it's been actually a bit of a double win, really, because not only is it creating content that sort of means that people come back and watch it, it's also means that I'm really it's exactly what I'm loving, and it's exactly what I'm enjoying doing as well. So yeah, bit of a double win. Anyway, completely off topic there. Something set me off, and I can't remember what it was. I will do, Spud. Just read your message there. I will do if I can get there, mate. I will do. Paul saying, I didn't know you were doing another one. It was a bit of a last minute thing, mate. My wife at the last minute had to go away with work tonight, which meant I was home on my Todd with the little one. So I just said if I can get him off to bed, if I can get him to settle down, I might do a live stream tonight, a bit of a hobby hangout. And so that's what I did. I must admit, I keep forgetting to look on the camera now. I'm kind of just getting sucked into the painting. I've also got to be conscious not to sit too quiet. That will be very uninteresting to watch and listen to, of course. So, how are we doing? We got a nice little crowd in. 43 people is pretty good for a last minute ditch. Paul saying, don't really use Facebook that much, but I saw some of Christian's paint on there yesterday. Amazing, mate. Yeah, he's doing. Christian's painting's always been really good, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Christian, but in the past, you've sort of the photographs that you've taken maybe haven't really done it justice. When I first saw your stuff at the Weekender at the start of this year, I was absolutely blown away seeing it in the flesh. It looked good in the pictures, but it just looked so much better when I saw it. Your photographs have been taken recently just really seem to be kind of bringing it to life. But Christian very kindly painted some stuff for me, and yeah, it puts my stuff to shame. I'm almost embarrassed to kind of show my painting after I see what he does. Yeah, absolutely smashing it, mate. Smashing it. Where else we at? Steve Evans is in. Hello, buddy. How are you doing? How is that? How is that Kings of War army coming along? I was listening to the Countercharge podcast the other night. I always go to sleep listening. I'll have to careful how I phrase it. I always go to sleep listening to a podcast or an audio book because randomly I find sort of complete silence. I can't kind of relax and doze off in complete silence. I need to have a bit of noise. So I always kind of have headphones in and I listen to a podcast or an audio book or something. And I was listening to Countercharge the other night where they had the interview with Matt Gilbert about Kings of War 3rd edition. And whilst I don't really know a lot about the game, to be fair, it was quite interesting just to see how much the rules committee are involved in writing those rules and kind of changing the game. And to be fair, to be fair to those guys, how much faith Mantic have in their ability to basically overhaul the game for 3rd edition. It seems like they've done the bulk of the work from what Matt had said in that interview. So, on the random chance that anybody who's on the Kings of War rules committee hears this, really, really good job, gentlemen. So, I'll say you lost track of time. To be fair, mate, I think I've just started anyway, so nothing to really. I will try and get this on camera, I promise. No, you've not missed anything, mate. Barry Clive is in as well. How are you doing, buddy? Nice to see you here again. He seems to be working on his Warcry terrain. I'm saying I know it's not the best for super high quality, but contrast paints that actually help me get stuff done. Still need a highlight. To be honest, mate, that's exactly what I'm using here. I'm using contrast paints here. And once they're dry, I will kind of go back and give them a little bit of a highlight or something like that. Sometimes I don't even bother. Sometimes it goes on so well that it looks good enough kind of thing. So I don't always go back and highlight them, but sometimes I do. That's how random is that kind of conversation? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. So yeah, never feel bad about using contrast paints or anything like that, mate. It's just I can imagine when the washers first came out, the GW washers, because let's be fair, like Agrax Earthshade or Devil in Mud as it used to be, really was a bit of a kind of liquid talent. I'm sure that people would have given the same kind of grief back then, and yet these days, nobody bats an eyelid about using a wash. So just use the right tools, mate. Use the tools available to you. And as long as you're enjoying it, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Right, so. Well, I've done painting videos in the past, like sort of ones for like painting tutorial stuff. I've always really struggled to get the camera set up so that I can sort of get it in shot. And one of the things I've done in the past is this camera that I'm pointing to now, the one for the main camera with the painting on, is a 4K camcorder. And what I've done in the past is I've filmed it in 4K from a bit of a wider shot, and then I've cropped it down later. So if you crop down 4K, you can kind of, is it half the quality or a quarter of the quality? I can't remember what it is now off the top of my head. But you can zoom in quite a bit and still have a 1080p picture. So that may, if I'm kind of moving around like this kind of thing, because it's zoomed out and because it's higher quality, I can kind of crop it down and move with the crop, if you like, move with the movement. When you're doing it live, I can't do it in 4K. Streaming 4K takes up quite a bit of bandwidth. So this is just in 1080p, and then obviously I can't crop it down as I'm going here. So I'm zoomed in digitally with the camera, which actually has a really good autofocus and a zoom on it. If I remember to put it on screen, and then I can just try and what I kind of do is sit with my where I would normally sit with the model, and then try and make sure that's roughly in the center of the screen, because I'll tend to always come back to that same kind of comfortable position. So hopefully that means that even if it does go off camera for a little bit, I'll reset back to it. Let's see what else we've got. We seem to have quite a few people chatting away there now. Green Tree's in as well. Nice to see you, Green Tree, mate. Just finished watching Top Table Gaming's new board build video. Yeah, Steve's just been doing one, hasn't he? I've not watched it yet, but I saw he'd shared it today. Ruth saying, enjoy your painting time to everybody tonight. Al saying he's painting the first layers on his war suit tonight, loving the model. What's the war suit, mate? Is that a 40k model or something? Is it? I'm not familiar with it, I don't think. We've got Todd in as well. Nice to see you, Todd. He's just finishing up the course at a Zombicide Invader. Have you played them? I don't suppose you've played the game yet, mate, have you? I remember. Was it a little bit delayed, do I seem to remember, as it kind of not long arrived? Because it was for sale at the UK Games Expo, and I seem to remember people having a little bit of a, not a whinge, but you know what I mean, they weren't happy about it because they hadn't got their copies yet, and here was hundreds of copies of Zombicide Invader for sale. I'll concentrate on that a little bit there. Some of these are a little bit fiddly. That's why I tend to do the contrast paint stuff first, and then I don't mind if I kind of go over the edge of something. I can tie it up with normal paint later. You know, the expansions and the extras should be finished by the new year. Well done, man. King John's in, he says, hello from Amarillo, Texas. How is everyone? Hello, King John. Nice to see some new faces in. So for anybody that has just joined us, this is kind of like, it's a bit of a kind of impromptu stream type thing. We don't really have a topic. We're just kind of getting together, sitting, having a bit of hobby together, sitting painting. So feel free just to kick back and relax. So let me know in the chat what you're up to, or feel free just to get your brushes out and sit and paint as well. And these streams are always a bit more chilled. I'm saying that always. We've had one so far. This is the second one. They're always a bit more chilled, a bit more relaxed. It's more just an excuse really to make sure I get some stuff done, and also just cool to hang out, isn't it? Cool just to hang out and sit and paint. And as I mentioned before, like painting can be quite a solitary experience, and sometimes you just need something on the background really, just to kind of take your mind off it a bit. Tony Howell's in as well. He says, evening ladies and gentlemen, I'm working on getting back to higher end painting with an Iron Warriors aspiring champion and an Ultramarine captain. I did see just very briefly before I came on the stream, mate, that you mentioned something about that in the Facebook group. I think that's really cool. I mean, you should always kind of paint for yourself anyway, which I never did when I first started. I always thought I was trying to paint to impress everybody else, and you soon realise that's a fool's errand. So yeah, just paint so that you're happy. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying to kind of push your skills or trying to raise the bar or anything like that, mate. Be really interested to kind of get some in progress photos as well, because it's, as I mentioned on the hobby hangout last time, there's always a point when you're painting a model where you just think, like, bollocks, I've really messed this up now. It's not. I might as well just kind of strip it and start again. But you have to kind of get through that. Every model you paint will get to that point where you just think, oh no, I've kind of completely goosed it up now. I've absolutely knackered. So yeah, getting some kind of work in progress shots. Just look back on, because when the model's finished, you'll forget what that was like at that point. Especially when you're trying to kind of push the envelope a little bit, trying to do a better job. You'll forget about that bit. You'll forget what it looked like, and then next time you come to paint something, you'll do the same again. So yeah, get some work in progress shots. Even if you don't share them with anybody, it's good just for your own kind of for your own progress as well. Seeing what you could do different next time and stuff. That's the thing with kind of smartphones and that now, we're having cameras. I'm saying that. It's like a right old thought saying I don't like they haven't had cameras for a while, but it just means you can keep that record. It's not kind of taking up space on your computer or anything. It's not going to get stuff developed or any madness like that these days. It just means you can kind of keep a record of it. But oh yeah, we just had that one. Yeah. Paul saying glad you did. Yeah, it's prompted me to do a bit more painting, mate, to be fair, so that can't be bad. Bobby Clark's in as well. Good evening, Bobby. How are you doing, mate? Nice to see you in the live chat on Monday as well. What have you been up to, buddy? He's saying when he's finishing touches on his Iron Golem Warband. Not sure what to do for the bases. What do you normally do for your bases, mate? Because for these folks, because they're going to be on multiple different boards and different kind of. But if you think I've bought all the terrain sets, I have bought all the terrain sets. However, the last one still hasn't come yet, so I'm still waiting for my Monsters and Mercenaries set, and I'm still waiting for the latest my Monsters and Mercenaries book, sorry, and the latest terrain set, the Ravaged Lands one. Because it's going to be going on multiple different boards, I've just tried to keep them quite neutral, almost just like you can see here, just sand on them, and then that's the one I did last week. I've just kind of kept them quite sort of grey and neutral, really. More just, I'm not a big fan of these clear plastic bases that a lot of people use, where you see the board coming through. They always look a little bit, the model always looks unfinished unless it's had a base done for me. It's part of the model, so I'm not a big fan of those clear bases. But I also don't want to do anything sort of too like over the top. I don't want to go like massive big rocks or something like that, and then find it's on some kind of like city board or something. Or I don't want to cover it in snow and then find out it's on like a desert wasteland type thing. So I always just try and keep them neutral, or as neutral as I can, unless I'm trying to do something a bit different and really kind of sort of make a bit of a statement thing. I think when you're doing big armies and stuff, like really nice bases can sometimes sort of trick the eye a little bit when you're trying to rush through big armies. Sometimes you spend more time on the bases, can really make a quick paint job, just raise it up a little bit. Front of his mask there and paint his mouth. Paint in the front of that. So where are we at then? Let's have a look. Timothy Alakon says good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Timothy. Nice to see a new face in the chat as well. What time is it now? I'm right behind in the chat. Peter Vandenbosch is in as well. He says he's finishing his first Stormcasts. What colour are you doing them, mate? Are you going with the gold? Have you decided to do them your own colour? Are you following something you've seen online? He said he's painting more Battalions tonight. and can't wait for 3rd edition. So I'm not sure if we've chatted about this before, Steve, but have you played a lot of Kings of War, mate, or are you relatively new to it? Because I'll be perfectly honest, I have no I have no idea. As I said before, I've pushed a few bits of cardboard around the board before just to try and get the rules in my head, but now it feels like it's kind of they're all changing anyway, so it's not really served me any use. But I'm sure when you beat me in October, mate, you can teach me a thing or two. So what is it? Is there anything specifically about 3rd edition that's kind of making you excited for it? Are you disappointed in what you've heard? Well, you're obviously saying that you're looking forward to it. But is there anything you've heard that you wish you kind of hadn't? You wish it wasn't coming in? From what I understand, I think that the 1-inch bounce back thing is now gone, which I think a lot of people who used to play fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy, seem to be quite happy with it. That's gone. But again, I ain't no expert on this, so yeah, just be good to hear what you think, mate. Shoulder piece done there. These love and contrast using with traditional methods. Yeah, me as well, mate. I just kind of pick out the bits that I want to use the contrast paints for, and then I'll just after that I'll resort to kind of the normal traditional methods. But yeah, you shouldn't ever. No, it wasn't you that said it, but you should never feel bad about using it. Like just because somebody doesn't just because somebody else chooses not to use them. Excuse me a second. It's telling me it wants a restart. So I just want the I'll just pick a time. Hopefully that doesn't turn it off. I think it's been doing an update in the background, and then it decided it wanted to do a restart. So if it goes off, I apologise. I'll try and come back as quick as I can. But I think we should be all right. It seems to have disappeared. What was I talking about there? Yeah, just because other people might not like contrast paints or whatever, it's fine. Loads of people don't like airbrushes. Loads of people complain and say airbrushing's cheating, but people still crack on and use them, don't they? Loads of people kind of rubbish and poo-bar about the army painted dips and stuff, but again, they've got their place as well. Everything's just a choice or a method, or paint your way. Too many people trying to tell you that you're wrong. Certainly doesn't help anybody get stuff done. The only time you're wrong is when you listen to what people say and stop doing what you enjoy because of it. Where are we at here? James is saying contrasts over metallics look amazing. Yeah, they do, mate. I've just done some. They actually, yesterday rather, and I did this. I was considering just painting a little kind of force of Raven Guard, just because they were my first ever army. So I had an old Space Marine lying about. I thought I'd try some contrast paints and then highlight it and then wash it and highlight it and wash it. Kind of the lights kind of washing out a little bit here, but the gun was done with contrast over metallic. Christian saying no problem on the ideal, better with critique than I do praise. My photos are better now. I'm using Samsung rather than the iPhone 6. You don't slate the iPhone 6, mate. I'm still using one of those. Mine's a work phone that gets provided for me for my job. So I don't really have a choice to upgrade it. So I'm kind of stuck with it. So I do the best I can with it, really. Yeah, it's amazing, mate. That it's amazing how photographs. I mean, light's the most important thing. If you can get plenty of light into your picture, you can control the rest of it, really. But yeah, it's amazing the difference it makes. Just a good photograph can really show off all your hard work, mate. Where else were we? Only saying nothing wrong with using contrast paints if they help. Job done, exactly. Flying out. I couldn't have summed it up better. The paint does not paint for you. I mean, people who think that contrast paints are the kind of like the magic solution are kind of sorely wrong. As you can see here, you still have to have some kind of brush control. I'm not just kind of like slapping it on like you would just like some kind of like wash over the entire model. You still have to have some kind of brush control, and you also have to have brush control when you're painting around it as well, because tidying the model up isn't the easiest thing to do using contrast paints. So yeah, you still have to sort of be able to control the brush. I don't think I realised before now that she had some kind of like tail hanging off the back there. That looks like a snake. Quite a nice nice addition to the model there. Some of these sculpts for Warcry Mind are absolutely beautiful. I mean, even though I built these up and stuff, like it's really difficult to see where some of the joins are. They really are hidden away. Some of them are like some kind of weird, kind of sort of 2nd century Chinese puzzle. You've got to try and manipulate them around in 2 or 3 different ways before the bits actually fit together. And then when they do, you instantly lose where the join was. It's been a little while actually since I actually probably built any sort of newer Games Workshop models before Warcry came along. The stuff I had was kind of a bit more like the 40k stuff that I've built in the past for like Kill Team and stuff tended to be more modular stuff, so where you can pick and choose weapons and things. So what that meant was they were great for people who wanted a kit bash or whatever, or switch out weapon loads and loadouts and stuff. However, the builds were pretty basic. Basically, it was a torso, it was legs, that kind of thing, heads and arms. Where these things are just really shows off what you can do with that kind of leap forward from manual sculpting to. Please don't get me wrong. When I say manual sculpting, that leap forward from sculpting by hand versus 3D computer-aided design, being able to kind of split that up with computers, getting the fit together is just really made some dynamic poses very easily done now. The only problem is they're a pig to paint, because you can't paint them in sub-assemblies because they never look right. But you do get some really, like at the minute here, I'm really struggling to kind of get in and do the front of that leg. I'm having to just kind of push in and hope for the best, to be fair. Missed anything, any bit. Yeah, we'll tidy it up. I'm not too fussed. We'll tidy it up later on, the main thing, isn't it? Let's see what else is happening in the chat. Pat Senatin, hello Pat, how are you doing, buddy? Says, even all, just putting final touches before I start paint on my Mantic Centaurs. They were not fun to put together. Weird to be working with lead again. If I have one kind of complaint about Mantic miniatures, it's the mixtures of all the different kind of sort of bits. So you get some in kind of hard plastic, you get some in like a weird plastic, you get some in that kind of resin, kind of restic stuff from years ago, you get some which are still metal models, you get some which are resin, and I know why they do it. I'm not kind of criticizing them for it, because it's just how the company's grown, and some of them are old sculpts, and no doubt over time they'll get replaced and improved upon. And I know Ronnie's always said that he doesn't sort of like spending money twice. He doesn't want to re-sculpt things. So I get why they're there, but yeah, when you're building some of the stuff up and it's lots of different materials, it's just a bit of a shame, really. That's all. But I do get why. I'm sure other companies are exactly the same. I haven't used a lot of other companies really to compare. So where are we at now? Claudio saying, just popping in to say hello. We'll rewatch this for another day. Have a nice evening. Thank you, Claudio. Very nice of you to pop in, mate. Todd saying he hasn't played it yet. Still waiting on Nemesis and Chronicle X. Well, plenty to get your teeth into there, mate. Halcyon Invicta Tactical Warsuit for 40k. Lightweight Dreadnought, go for it. Looks like a loader from Alien. Ah, I know the one you mean now, mate, yeah. Very Raven God. Well, we've just been talking Raven God. I don't know if I mentioned this. So yeah, when I first started painting models in my 30s, after not doing it since I was a kid, I started painting Space Marines, as I'm pretty sure most people kind of do because they're the poster boys. But I decided to paint the Raven Guard chapter, and that was what I did. I had no intention of playing the game. I just kind of picked up models and painted them and cracked on with it, really. And eventually I built up a really large force of Raven Guard and decided to try and kind of learn how to play. But back then there was none of these kind of sort of upgrade kits for Raven Guard, and the best you could get from Forge World was they did a set of transfers, like chapter transfers, which they stopped doing actually, and it was a shame because they were pretty good. But yeah, mine all had the Forge World transfers on. I just really enjoyed painting them. So when the Raven Guard are getting a bit of love at the minute with the new book and stuff, just kind of made me want to, just maybe as a bit of a side project, like no rush, not intending to play, maybe use them in Kill Team or something like that. But just build up a little Raven Guard chapter. There's me just making a bit of a balls up there where I've just touched on. We've got Doug in as well. So like Chloe, he's here and gone. My 91-year-old father's here visiting. I've been the chef this week. Watch it later. Well, thank you for popping in, Doug. It's always nice when the kind of when the regulars just pop their head in and say hi if they can't make it. It's just very, very nice of you. Thank you very much. Let's do that there. Tom saying, helping tremendously. Tony saying, I'll give updates so we can see how crappy the base coats look when I'm building them up. That's the thing, like you say, it all gets worked out in the end. That's why it's not only is it good for you, but it's good for others as well when they're first kind of getting started. People only ever really tend to see finished models, and especially with the pros, you tend to see the finished models, and it's all. And I'm not criticizing pro painters, far from it, but sometimes it's just really can be quite intimidating. Like I said before, really, just seeing just how good those finishes are. In fact, if people saw where like that first kind of base coat stage or something like that, maybe they would think slightly differently about it. These are dumb. You get pushed into, that's for sure. But yeah, as you can see by what I'm doing by slapping on contrast paints onto the skin, I am winning no awards anytime soon. But what I'll do is when they're all finished, I'll pop some pictures up on the Facebook group, and I'll probably put some up in the YouTube community page as well. So if anybody doesn't know about the YouTube community page, if you go to my channel, you'll see along the top there's some tabs like there's videos about the channel, that kind of stuff. There's a one that says community, and it's kind of just like a little bulletin board type thing there, and just kind of I could post a little message or whatever, and maybe give you a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. Post a little picture, and then you folks can kind of comment on it. So what I'll do is once these are all finished, I'll put a picture up in there, and then you'll be able to see from where I am today, just slapping contrast paint on, just how it actually looks when they're all done. Because there's no way I'll get all these finished on the stream tonight, but it just gives you an idea of kind of what my process is. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm doing it the best way or the only way by any stretch, but it just it might give somebody else a bit of confidence to kind of break out the brushes if they've never really fancied it. So you're saying just follow it. Whoop, I just jumped out. As soon as I touched that, I jumped out of the screen. Just following Duncan's instructions, the classic finish. Not that creative yet. To be honest, mate, you can't. If you follow those kind of standard paint jobs, you won't go far wrong. I mean, the people that come up with those standard paint jobs, be like, oh, the box art or whatever it is, they're kind of trained artists. They know what colours complement each other, so they're going to pick the right stuff. So yeah, by all means follow them. I still do for most of my stuff. And if you want to go off on your own way and do something a little bit different, a good little kind of trick, if you're not into kind of understanding the colour wheel and complementary colours and secondary colours and all that kind of stuff, a good trick is just look at sports teams. So whatever colours. So if you look at, say, let's think Los Angeles Rams, because they're my team, that kind of gold and blue together goes very well together, maybe with white in it. If you look at teams like, let's have a think, who else? I think of colours. Things like the LA Chargers with that kind of like yellowy kind of colour with the blue. Yellow and blue go good together. It's just like, look at sports teams and things and see what colours they have. Football teams from the UK, what colour shorts do they have that go with their tops? It just kind of gives you an idea of what like sort of three colours potentially go well together. So I love this model. It was an absolute pig to build. I could not get this. So this from about here up over was one piece, and I could not get that angle kind of go right across the. And I think, as I remember right as well, that snake across the shoulders might have been a separate piece as well, but I got there in the end, obviously. Right, that's the contrast paints all done. Let me just check behind me, make sure I haven't missed any. No, I haven't. That's all. The only one I haven't got there is the little spiders. So that's all the contrast for the skin done there. What he's saying, he's going through the pain of building up a solid yellow base coat. Feel your pain, mate. I do feel your pain on that. Obviously, I think that I add a little colour to these Warcry bases, give that impression of chaos and magic corruption. Just don't want to detract from the cool looking models. It's a real fine balance, mate. If you overdo the bases, you can kind of, the eye will be drawn away from the model and get sort of dragged down to the base. So it is a bit of a fine balance. Oh, what was it? So if you remember from last time, the green I used was this really old hex pot, this Dark Angels green. So yeah, I think it's been around quite some time, I think. Where are we at? Alcin is using oils a bit now and getting some really good results and effects. Not what he thought, but good in different ways. Yeah, I think it's like one of those things where you just have a bit of, you kind of just try them out, don't you, and see what comes of it. Mark's in as well. Good evening, Mark. Says, evening, Andy and chat. Hope you're all well. I am, thanks, mate. I hope you are too. Nice to see you. Rocker says, sorry to hear Tony went through this with Iron Jaws. Listening to a podcast this week said yellow gets easier if brown goes down with the first base coat. I've always painted yellow over a white or a grey base coat. And what yellow have I used? I always use, this is the base for yellow, Avalon Sunset. And it goes on really, really nice. It goes on lovely through an airbrush. But I've got a video that I would like to see it. I'll link here, but I can't because it's live. But if you look on my channel or you type kind of how to paint yellow BlackJack Legacy, I've got a video where I show how to kind of paint yellow easily, because it's not the easiest colour to get base coats down, but the Avalon Sunset goes down really, really well. But it does go well over brown, but I've never really had any problems with it over this light grey. Basically, this colour that I'm priming on now, this is Ghost Grey from Vallejo. That's what I always use for that. So. Glenn Griffin is in as well. Good evening, Glenn. How are you doing, buddy? Owl's in as well. He says, I've got good results for yellow over brown. Steve saying Kings of War hasn't been his main game for the last 2 years. But yes, I played quite a few games. Also love painting the armies. At least count, I've got 14 painted forces at over 2,500 points. You, my friend, are a madman. I just can't bring myself to paint in those kind of numbers. Richard Smithson as well says you've got bit the bullet and bought yourself Splintered Fang Warband. What combo have you gone with for the Venom Bloods, mate? Whip or blades? Whip up blades. I've pretty much gone. I've gone blades for everything except this model here. Everything else has got blades, mate. Flying Mama says, by regulars you mean part of the furniture? Yes, you're part of the regulars as well. Although you've been very quiet. I'm not used to being so quiet recently, but I do understand it's not. The chats have been quite busy on Mondays now. It's almost kind of what I quite like about these little hobby hangouts, really, is because the numbers of. I mean, don't get me wrong. Of course, I like to. It's nice to do a video and it gets views. That's kind of why part of the attraction of this. However, it is nice when it's a bit calmer and a bit quieter, and kind of have these kind of chats and just hang out. Because the old streams used to kind of be that. We used to get about 50 people in a live stream, and the topic was just there to kind of kick the chat off, really. However, the chat went where the chat went, very much like these are now. This hobby hangout, and it's really driven by what you folks want to talk about. The last one was almost a tester to see whether I could talk and paint at the same time. He says going silent while he thinks about what he wanted to say, and it was okay. It went pretty well. I was happy enough with it. So that was kind of what the plan was, really. But yeah, but these chats are more like the old chats used to be, I think, where it's just a bit more kind of just hang out in that, really. I think the difference is when I'm not painting, the chats are better when there's lots and lots of chat, because it gives me things to talk about. It kind of drives me in a direction where I've got subject matter to kind of keep going. The interaction is really, really helpful on those Monday Night Lives. But here it's almost, I don't expect these videos to kind of to get a lot of views afterwards, if you like, in comparison to sort of like a Monday Night Live, which is much more about a topic and people are tuning in sort of afterwards to see what people's opinions are, I guess. Where these ones are more just background noise, really. Some people have said that they basically tuned in and put it on as a bit of a podcast, or just as a bit of background noise for painting and stuff. But really, they're almost more just motivation for me, really, as well, to get the brushes out. So, yes. So you are you're the regulars. You know who I mean. Tony's saying it's cathartic to see work in progress for our newer painters as they get an idea of how good or how great paint jobs start. Totally agree. Biggie for helping and looking at sports teams. And Paul saying their good rule for bases is a rule of three. 3 base elements, for example, texture paint, some small stones, some static grass, and tuff. Yeah, I mean, I've also heard, like, when you're talking about painting miniatures, it's like bases, and banners. Really, you can do quite a quick job. You don't have to do a lot of highlighting on the bulk of the model. But if you spend a bit more time on the face, a bit more time on the base, and if it's got anything kind of hanging off it, like a banner or a flag, or sort of weapons pointing out, or cloaks flowing, that kind of thing, you focus on those bits, it can really sort of draw your eye, and keeps you looking around the model. Because if you do a base which is very, very overpowering, your eye will just rest on that one spot. But what you're trying to do is give the eye multiple places to kind of to look at and to focus on. So for those kind of just wondering there as well, this paint I'm using at the minute, this green, I'll put it on camera. Kind of hard to see it there, but it's not a contrast paint. It's just a really thin down, just standard paint, basically. Just really thin down, and what it's doing is it's just running recesses. Because these GW models have a really nice kind of sculpted edge to them and stuff, where these little like sort of tabard things are, I can almost just like if I can kind of show you a little bit here, I can almost just kind of slap the paint on in the middle there, and then move it around, really. So you can see how it's pooling up in a little bit of areas. I'm just moving it about so it doesn't settle. It's running into the cross pattern of the tabard, but and it's the light grey underneath is almost acting like a contrast paint, really, where it's settling into the recesses and a little bit see through on the top, and it's given a really kind of nice impression of almost like sort of snake skin, really. So I kind of found it by accident last week when we did a live stream. So it's nice to do them kind of videos because then it means I can remember exactly what I did. I can go back and watch it if I try to remember how I painted the first model. Because normally what I would do is I would never really I'd always sit and paint them all in one, either in one sitting or I get them all to one stage and then kind of go from there. So to sit and paint one model on the live stream last time was quite unusual for me. I'd normally paint like I am now, where I'm now going through all the models and picking out all the green bits that I want. This is why I also noticed that I've missed some contrast paint there from the side of that face. So we'll go back and pick that one up later. That's starting to come together. Only seeing he started with a black primer as he's painting Iron Warrior, and I love the way that silver tone layers over black. Yeah, silver over black always does look nice, mate. Glenn saying, any suggestions for how to paint the bluish stone slabs that are on the Warcry Shattered Stone Vault? I used, mate, let me just remember the colour I used. I think it's called Thunderhawk Blue, I think. See if I can find it in here, got it for you. Typical, I can't find it now while I'm looking for it. It's kind of like a grey blue colour. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Thunderhawk Blue. I used that, mate, and then I very, very lightly over the top dry brushed something like, I think it was that one, mate, the Baroth Blue. Oops, get on camera. I think that was the kind of the base color, and then I very lightly dry brushed that over the top just to kind of pick up the edges. A really, really light dry brush. But that wasn't too far away, mate. You might want to give it like a wash or something like that over the top and be a blue wash, but in general, mate, that was what I used. Timothy saying he's working on his Warcry Vanguard Hunters. Yeah, I want to pick up some Stormcast at some point as well, mate. I just like the models, and it's a nice excuse to paint them and not have to paint a full army, really. The only thing with this, and I kind of thought about it, is after a couple of days after I'd painted the last one, is the red and green together does make me feel a little bit kind of Christmas elf. You've got to be kind of careful with that, but at the minute there's not a lot of red on the original model. I'll show you again. There's this one. Just piping on the edges, so I think I've kind of got away with it. But yeah, just got to be careful I don't end up making them look like Christmas elves. Or the other side is I intentionally make them look like Christmas elves. So. Yes. Well, I'm sure there's kind of I'm sure there's an old nursery rhyme thing, like an old saying that says, "Is it red and green should never be seen, or is it blue and green?" I always forget. Because when I was a kid at school, in sort of infant and junior school, my school tie was red and green stripes. Maybe I've just got a bit of an aversion to it. Always makes me think of being at school as a kid. Anyway, I really am rambling tonight. We're talking about all sorts of random stuff, but I guess that's kind of part of it, isn't it? Phil saying, if the model is mainly yellow, why not just prime it with a yellow spray can? Yellow spray cans are pretty garbage, if I'm honest, mate. They never really seem to get the right coverage. I've tried a few different yellow spray cans, and I've been disappointed with them every single time. But it was part of the reason I ended up investing in an airbrush, was because I wanted to be able to kind of prime things in multiple colours, really, because I had mixed results with coloured spray cans. But if others have had better success, then by all means use them. By all means. Adria's in as well. Says it would be nice to paint some miniatures of Hellboy. Greetings from Spain. I learned a lot with your videos. Thank you very much, boy. It's very, very kind of you to say so. I obviously do have Hellboy miniatures there, and I mean, I'm not far off painting all of my. Let me just do this bit first. I'm not far off painting all of my Warcry stuff now. So actually, if I do kind of run out of Warcry stuff, because I'll potentially sort of paint some off stream as well. If I run out of that, there's no reason why we could do kind of votes and stuff. So if we go to the, as I was mentioning before about the YouTube community tab. So if you have a look on my YouTube page on my channel, excuse me, I've got the hiccups there. If you look on my channel, there's a tab that says community. If you go in there, it's an opportunity where I can kind of chat to you outside of normal videos, really. So we could maybe, if I can try and plan a stream ahead of time, we can do a vote about what model you want to see me paint. How does that sound, folks? Would that be a good idea? Or do you prefer me just to kind of paint whatever I fancy? It certainly would be one way to get through the Hellboy box set and get it all painted, wouldn't it? Mark saying, play Star Realms while listening. Anyone tried this deck building game? Who was it who was telling me about Star Realms? It might have been Michael from MTG and More. Michael Techlers. I think he might have been telling me about Star Realms. And he was raving about it. What's your thoughts, mate? Have you enjoyed it? Is it worth a punt? Is it a new game? I seem to remember, if it is the same one Michael was telling me about, it maybe hadn't long come out, I think. Or might have had a re-release or something like that. Seems to ring a bell. Stacey, and that's why I like these painting live streams. They're more laid back. Yeah, they're very, very different. I mean, from my perspective, they're very different. The standard live streams on a Monday, which have become like a bit busier, as I was just saying, take quite a bit of preparation. I mean, people might not realise it, but if I'm going to talk about something on a live stream, I've got to do a little bit of research. So it's very difficult for me to come up with a live stream idea right at the last minute, because then I haven't really given it any thought. I've not researched it. I've not looked into the background. I've not read up enough to. Because nobody wants to hear me talking about stuff that I know nothing about. I mean, why on earth would you tune in for that kind of stuff? So I have to make sure that I'm really up to speed when I'm talking about stuff on a Monday Night Live. I need to kind of try and sort of counter people's comments, and not from a negative point of view, but just sometimes having an alternative opinion, whether it's my opinion or not. Sometimes just kind of playing devil's advocate. Sometimes it's just enough to keep the chat kind of going and keep the conversation lively. These ones are just my thoughts as they kind of come into my head, really. It's not sort of pre-planned. I've got no topic to talk about. I'll just generally kind of ramble a little bit. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and if somebody asks a question, that'll send me off down a path of talking about something for a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's actually quite, believe it or not, you might not believe this, when it comes to kind of just chatting to random strangers and like that kind of stuff, I'm not very good at it. So I've always, in the past, kind of, when you're away with work somewhere and you're with a load of people that you don't really know, the only thing you've got in common is that you all work at the same company or something like that. You might be at a conference or you're at a meeting somewhere and you have to try and kind of like network. I've always kind of struggled with that in the past. Of just kind of finding that, what's that common ground? What can I make a conversation about without kind of embarrassing myself? However, doing the live stream stuff has completely kind of changed a lot of that, really, because in the early days I was really, really nervous about doing live streams for fear of saying the wrong thing, for fear of upsetting somebody. Kind of, the last thing you want to do is kind of make some kind of inappropriate comment that wasn't meant the way you said it or anything like that. Especially when you kind of go out live on the internet and it's there for everybody to see, and it's, people could like record it and kind of play it back and it be there to haunt you forever kind of thing. I was really, really nervous in the early days about doing live streams. So on the back of the fact of all of that, the fact that I didn't really kind of like sort of wasn't that I didn't like chatting to strangers. That makes me feel really antisocial. I never felt comfortable. But yeah, over time, I suppose it's built my confidence as well, really. So you might not you might not think it now, but there was a time where I really did struggle with this kind of stuff. My mama says it would be cool if we found a model everyone has and then all paint them. That would be awesome. That would be really good. And I wonder if we could probably organise that for some time. We'd do like a Christmas stream or something like that, couldn't we? All paint the same model or something like that, and just kind of compare them all at the end and see what everybody's done, what colour schemes everybody's went for, how we've done different jobs on exactly the same model. I really like that idea, Ruth. Thank you for suggesting that. I've just noticed on camera I still get my face in, don't I? I don't know how I'm managing to do that when I've moved everything to the other side. Bobby says, have you found it useful using a wet palette? My girlfriend's actually painted more recently, now she got to grips with it. I have tried with a wet palette and I've tried without a wet palette, and it sometimes depends upon what model I'm painting or how I'm painting. But I tell you how I'm painting at the minute, and you'll probably all scream at me. I'm painting from the pot. So what I tend to do is, I'll show you on camera because I don't normally show this bit. So I tend to get a bit of water on my brush. I'll then there's some paint in the lid there. I've kind of sort of wet it a little bit there. May almost use it like a little palette. And then I will just sort of just dab it on some tissue paper I've got here to take any thick off. And then I'll paint it like that. So as you can see, I am watering it down. I am diluting the paint, but I'm not using a palette at all. And that is one advantage of the GW pots, that everybody hates those pots. Remember, I missed another pot of skin there as well. That you can kind of do it like that. I just find if I'm not trying to, if I just want to get stuff done relatively quickly, kind of almost speed painting, if you like, it just takes one more step out of it. Where I do have some Vallejo paint and some army painter stuff in that as well, and then I have to use a palette because it comes in dropper bottles. But I tend, where I can, just to do a few shortcuts. So I'll look at the numbers now. I'll probably see everybody just tuning out saying heathen painting straight from the pot. But yeah, and that's just another example of, what works for you works for you. This is what works for me. It's like when you see some of these pro painters and they say they use kind of sort of brushes from the local hobby store, like the sort of dollar store or something like that, or they'll get like sort of 20 brushes for $5 or something, and they basically use them and then dispose of them. It's just what you get used to. I think when I first started painting, like, I didn't really, I just like, I don't even think I had like I'm not even sure. I probably must have had a computer at that point, kind of thing. But I don't remember sitting and watching like a lot of like YouTube videos on how to paint. I kind of bought magazines and stuff like that, but I kind of just learned as I went. So yeah, each to their own. I've missed loads of contrast paint on that one. I'll put that to one side so I don't forget. Where are we at? Yeah, it's going to be good to paint a couple of models. Chris Idden's in his first live stream. Nice to see you, mate. How are you doing? I know we kind of chat in the Facebook group and stuff, but we don't often get a chat on live streams. Brian Mammel says these paint chats feel like the old live streams. You kind of do, don't they? It's much. It's because it's like just laid back and chilled, and it's always kind of difficult when you're doing them. Excuse me. Yes, I am a brush licker. It's always quite difficult when you're doing them on your own because you don't have somebody else to kind of bounce the chat off, if you like, bounce ideas off. So you've just got to ramble, haven't you? You've got to keep going. Moxian, really enjoying it. Playing a digital app version, but just ordered it from Amazon. It's the same as the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle. Ah, okay, mate. It might not be the one I was thinking of in that case then. It might be a completely different game. Tony saying agree. I like the hobby jam time. It's good format. Something for me to paint along with. It's a great idea. Yeah, it's not like I say. It's not designed to kind of grow the channel or anything like that. It's not designed to kind of appeal to the masses. It's more just it's like a bit like a community thing, really. It's more like you say, Ruth. It's the Monday night live chats used to always just be like kind of like a community video. So when you're making YouTube videos, there's kind of two videos you can do. There's a video that you can do for the audience, where you're basically you're talking about basically a video where you're trying to drive views. Really, you're trying to get as many people as possible to watch it. You might want them to be kind of like what they call evergreen videos, which are stuff like painting videos, tutorials, how to build stuff. They're classed as evergreen videos where people can, it doesn't matter whether you watch them now or you watch them in 3 years' time, you can kind of learn something from them. So for example, the first gaming table I built is one of those evergreen videos. It gets kind of 100 views a day still, that video. So it still kind of just ticks along in the background. And I think it's over 40,000 views now. So those are kind of mass market evergreen videos. And then you do some videos that are just, they're for the community really. They're for your kind of your hardened supporters, your regulars. So if you think about someone like, say, Tabletop Minions, Uncle Adam, he has his every other Sunday show, which because he's got 120, 130,000 subscribers, he might get about 5,000 people kind of watching those live streams. So he gets big numbers by my standards, but by his standards, actually, it's quite disappointing, really. A good metric of basically kind of views to subscribers is if it's 10%, basically 10% of your subscribers will watch a video, really. Anything more than that, the video is done pretty well. Anything less than that, and you've probably kind of missed it a little bit. So that's always my kind of sort of barometer, really. So my old live streams used to do about 300, 400 views, something like that. Maybe on a good day, maybe 500. And that was pretty good. I was at about 4,000 subscribers. That was my kind of my 10% benchmark. I was happy with that. So they were always just for people just for the crack, really. And then the Warcry stuff kind of kicked off, and all of a sudden those videos were doing sort of 120 people watching them live. They'd maybe do 2,500 views in a week. People going back and watching the content. And because they were more focused on one particular game, they ended up just becoming more like a normal video, really, but a bit more kind of obviously more live chat and stuff. And I'm enjoying them. Don't get me wrong, I'm really enjoying them. But they are different to what the old community videos used to be. So I guess this is almost that getting an extra shot in, really, getting back to some of that, which I enjoy. Make me get a brush in my hand as well, which is never a bad thing. Now I'm toying now with, do I paint her tail green as well? Her snake tail. I think I probably should, otherwise it's going to look weird if not. Blame says new hashtag BlackJack painting challenge. Yeah, I really like that, but it took some kind of managing, really. And I know people really liked it, but it was hard work. You wouldn't believe it or not, but kind of coming up with a topic and trying to do something with it was actually quite difficult. So maybe I need to start delegating some tasks, getting people involved and stuff like that, trying to help out. Cause I know you did volunteer, Ruth, and Christian's volunteered as well. So it's not like I haven't had people volunteering to help. VJ has volunteered as well. So it's not like people haven't asked to help. I don't like the idea of kind of putting on people, really. So but yeah, we'll have to bring back the hobby challenges, the painting challenge. JJ saying, totally agree with the hesitancy around speaking to people you don't know. At work in the day job, when delivering presentations, I end up remembering the feeling I felt when doing best man speeches. Yet when live streaming, it all goes away. It's kind of funny, isn't it? It's a really strange feeling. I mean, it's kind of helped me in my day job when I do kind of presentations and stuff. That it doesn't feel as intimidating now. So if I'm presenting to a room of kind of 100, 200 people or something like that now, because of these live stream stuff, they don't feel that kind of intimidating anymore now, because I'm used to kind of seeing something that, I don't mean this to sound arsey, but that thousands of people end up listening to. So yeah, it's definitely helped with that. But yeah, it's live streaming was a massively kind of nervy thing when I first started. It really did kind of scare the shit out of me. Where we connected to the same Sean cringes. Glenn saying, I have a suggestion. People could paint a Space Marine, but do a BlackJack Legacy chapter paint scheme. I'm not a big Space Marine fan myself, but I do an old box of Marines from years back. That might not be a bad shout. The reason I say it might not be a bad shout is because I wonder if you can just go to GW and pick up a free Marine to paint, or do you have to paint it in their store? It'd be a pretty cool idea if we get everybody. I wonder if there's like a cheap way to get a load of Space Marines. I mean, GW are always giving them out, aren't they? But yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to get multiple people on stream all painting the same thing. VJ was talking a while ago about he did something for Tabletop Minions where like almost like a kind of like a paint. It was a painting challenge type thing where everybody painted a model and then like passed it on to somebody else as a gift. And he was volunteering to kind of organise something like that. But maybe that would be a kind of an alternative thing. Everybody paints the same model and then passes it on to somebody else. We could end up with a massive big Space Marine force between us. Martin, love that style of pot. Use less, I feel, by using the top. It's weird, mate. I think you probably do use less because I mean, you end up with the lid being open while I'm sitting painting, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not using kind of, it's not going to lose stuff, but it doesn't dry out as much because it's sorry, I know I'm miles off screen here. It doesn't dry out as much because it's not like onto a palette. And I know if you use a wet palette, obviously it wouldn't dry out, but it just seems to speed things up for me. I'm not messing about trying to get the consistency right. It just seem to kind of found the consistency that works. I feel like this one's going to have a lot of green on it with that snake. I think I'm going to have to paint the snake green, but then I'm going to have to come back and do something with it, I think. How's everybody else's painting getting on tonight then? Steve says, always paint straight from the pot, have done for the last 40 years, even back in the enamel days. But I remember buying home-roll enamel paints when I first started painting miniatures when I was a kid. I used to go to a hobby shop in the town centre of the place where I lived, and I remember buying like a Blood Bowl like individual miniature like one in the old DW blister packs, and like a pot of home-roll paint with like pocket money. I can't remember how much the models used to be now, thinking of going, but I didn't have a lot of pocket money to be fair, so it wouldn't have been very expensive back then. But yeah, just slapping the paint on and stuff, they were awful. I wish I still had some of them now, just to go back and reflect on. The closest thing I've got is a little while ago I stripped all my Hero Quest, well not all of them, just the few I painted. I stripped my Hero Quest miniatures back to the original plastic for the intention of going back and painting them again at some point. And when I saw how bad they were, like bloody hell, what about how far you've come? But I probably was only about 10 or 11 or something at the time, if that. So yeah, I do like how this. I mean, this paint must be. I bought these paints, I think, but I must be going back like 15 years ago or something like that, and they're still kept really, really well. I do store them upside down. Excuse me. I do store them upside down, which helps as well because it stops like the air getting into the lids. So that's maybe why it's lasted quite so long as it has. Chris is saying he's canny, working on this Stig Shamble at the minute. We're well up for a Christmas paint jam. Yeah, that will be a nice little Christmas thing, be cool. Pete's in as well. Good evening, Pete Smith. How are you doing, buddy? On Flying Mama saying the live challenge. Yes, the live challenge. That would be cool. Did I misread it? Did you put hashtag BlackJack live challenge? But you did, didn't you? Let me go back and see. I can't even see it now. It's there somewhere, wasn't it? Oh yes, BlackJack painting challenge. The new BlackJack painting challenge. Tom D saying, do you or anyone see that Emira painted with contrast on Facebook? I did see it, mate. It was amazing as well. I never thought those older models would have quite enough detail in them to really kind of take contrast paints, but I was surprised when I saw a picture of the sprue, just how much details in those wings and stuff, and around the kind of like the fur on the faces and stuff. It really does look good, and you're right. It looked fantastic with contrast paint. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that like, I mean, don't get me wrong. You need to know what you're doing. Like Ruth said before, the brush doesn't paint with itself, kind of thing. You do still need to know what you're doing, but it just shows what is possible with contrast paints when they're used in a certain way. Just almost time to restart. Wait an hour. See what it does. What time is it now? Actually, how are we doing for time? It's just after 10 o'clock. I think we'll keep going a little bit longer, at least until I get the green on all the models. I think this is the last one I've got to put the green on. I might go back and tidy up some of the contrast paints and stuff while I'm kind of mid painting these ones. Then saying everyone paints one marine and posts it to Andy. I'd have a massive collection of marines. I can imagine my post guy. To be fair, I'm struggling to get like my Monsters and Mercenaries book for Warcry hasn't arrived yet, and the store told me they definitely posted it out. So maybe you shouldn't post them to me. My bloody postie must be bugging them or something at the minute. Yeah, so I'm kind of. I was just saying today, I'm like kind of like a drug addict waiting for my next hit. Still haven't got my my boot yet in my new terrain, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get it. Now, what do I do with that snake on the bottom of the base there? Do I paint it green, or is that going to be too much green? Do I? What the hell do I do with it? I need to decide something. I don't need to decide now, obviously, but I'm just conscious of I paint too different, like really stand out, and I'm not sure I want it to stand out. I think I'll come back to that and decide later. But I am going to go back and tidy up some of the contrast paints that I've missed. It's probably off camera at the minute. Well, it was just bottom one. Cool. Right, let's see what else is happening. Timothy saying, edge highlighting, too much extra effort, or is it worth the time? For me personally, mate, I've never been very good at edge highlighting. I don't have a steady enough hand. My brush control's not good enough. So what ends up happening is I end up probably screwing up the miniature. So for me, it's probably not worth it. However, if you dry brush correctly, if you can manage to dry brush it correctly, you can kind of create that edge highlight without too much effort. So I would tend to dry brush it, if I'm honest, mate. When you see these yellow leg plate base coats nearly done, really a pain, mate, if you're having to kind of track through it like that a bit at a time. He's on a bit of chat. Pete's saying he's doing good, not long home from a work trip to Aberdeen. He's saying last couple of weeks not been bothered with the Monday night live stream, but still hanging in there at the moment. He's painting a perfect for me. Keep them coming, please. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I've kind of said this publicly. I kind of do and I don't apologise for Monday nights being the way they are, because at the end of the day, I am trying to grow this into something. So I kind of don't apologise for them being popular and them kind of covering the stuff that I'm playing and I'm enjoying. I don't apologise for that, but I do feel a bit bad that some of the hardcore, if you like, the old guard, it's not what they kind of signed up for. But it's part of kind of growing pains, isn't it? It's just one of those, you can't please everybody all the time kind of thing. So as long as I can please some people some of the time, maybe that's the best I can kind of hope for sometimes. Where are we at? Noxie's in as well, says how do mate, just got home, hi to the chat. Nice one, nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you. I'm sure there were some bits on the, oh, I'll try and find them now. There it is. It's off the head. Not done. Screen, that's alright. Also, just tidying my paint away, got the pilot's armour done. Off from the highlights and the initial metallics on the war, so decent progress. Nicely done. Rusi and Nate, all thanks to the NATA. Hashtag top bands, hashtag mugwide, hashtag live BlackJack being challenge. Yeah, thanks for popping in, Ruth. We'll chat soon. Steve saying tonight finished off 5 more Foot Paladins. And almost finished 2 bases from 6mm Amazon's Kings of War small scale game. I actually quite considered using the Joan of Arc minis for doing a little kind of small scale Kings of War game. Thought they might look quite cool. Paul saying paint the other snake a neon blue. Yeah, I did consider blue actually, because it's something quite sort of like this kind of blue, something like that, like a temple guard blue or something with a bit of highlight. I don't know if it'll imbalance it at all, but we'll see. Chris is saying he's with Paul on the blue. Tony's saying back in 2005 on a forum I was in, used to do a regular paint swap where we'd name a mini style, be interested to go be a lot or who matched the paint for. I think that was kind of what VJ was talking about. I've not been involved in one before, but I think that's the kind of thing he was talking about, was like it's a bit of a mini swap where basically people requested something and then it was random, a bit like a Secret Santa type thing. I like the idea. I think what I said to him was I like the idea, but I can imagine trying to organise it is like trying to herd cats. I'll see an edge highlighting as a chore at times, using it on rank and file troops as a slog. Yeah, I think I should probably sort of caveat that with it. It depends upon what you're painting. If you're just painting kind of 1 or 2 models, or if you're painting a very small, like a warband, like a Warcry warband, something like that, then maybe it's worth kind of going the extra mile. But yeah, if you're setting up doing a big army or something, yeah, you could be on a hiding to nothing. Pete he enjoys the challenge at edge highlight, and I find it worth the time. I just don't have a steady enough hand, mate. I'd butcher it. So for me, it's not worth it for me. But excuse me, I totally get for others. It probably can be. Tony saying nothing to apologise for. I signed up for the Warcry stuff, but love the community chat more. It's interesting because it's kind of what I was talking about before. Basically, is that you need to grow kind of like a community and to grow an audience that keep coming back and watching stuff. You can't, like, it's not, the content isn't enough to keep people coming back generally. It needs to be more than that. So I just have to be conscious that I'm doing the right things, really, but not only doing the right things for community people, but doing the right things for me as well. There's no point me just making videos for everybody else if I'm not enjoying them. And I've mentioned this before. You'll very quickly be able to tell if I wasn't enjoying making certain videos. So definitely would be picking through all these contrast stuff now. Bobby Clark is a big fan of trying different brands of paint. Are you the same or stick with just one? So generally, I kind of, when I first started, as you do, you dive headfirst into a hobby. And I bought a big GW case of paints, which had the entire range in at the time. And I think it was about like 200 odd quid. They didn't have all the paints they do now. I don't think they did the washes back then or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I kind of dove in with both feet, and then over time, I'd kind of replaced them colours as and when they ran out. So I did end up getting kind of sucked into the GW kind of Citadel paint range. But then when I started painting, I started playing War Machine. Privateer Press did a nice little kind of like sets that were specific colours for specific war bands and like sort of races. So I ended up buying sort of some of those. So I've got a good mix of P3 paints as well now. And then when I started with my airbrush, I started picking up Vallejo paints as well, Model Air ones and stuff. And I started picking up some of those. So yeah, I've got a kind of a decent mix of stuff now, really. And I tend to I've got by far the biggest range is GW, and more because I've got like a GW store not too far from me, so it's easy to go and pick up paints. But in general, I kind of just use the colour that I kind of I fancy really on whatever paint I've got. But I must admit, when I do go and buy new paints, like for new colours I don't have, it tends to be Citadel purely on the basis of it's just easy for me to pick up. Timothy saying, do you have to be a Patreon member to join the Discord server? There's two ways you can join the Discord, mate. One is to be a Patreon member, and it starts at $2 a month. So that you don't have to be at the higher tiers to join the Discord, just as long as you're kind of part of the Patreon program. So $2 a month for that. Or if you are a YouTube member, so you'll see people like Tony and Pete here have the green names with a little BlackJack Legacy symbol thing beside them, the logo. They can join the Discord server as well. I do also have a Facebook group, which is like a big community group. There's like 650 people in that. And that's where everybody can kind of show off what they're painting, what they're playing, have a kind of a chat with the community as well. Excuse me, I'm just there. Dry throat there. You just switch across to this while we're chatting. Yeah, so there's kind of a couple of ways you can do it. That's how it is. At the minute, the Patreon group is relatively small, so it means that the Discord server is pretty quiet. I'll rephrase that. It's not quiet. There's just not a lot of people in it, and what it's becoming quite a kind of like it's almost like a little kind of hangout, just like with a few friends kind of thing. At the minute, it's obviously not too busy, so it ends up becoming more conversational. It's quite a nice little chat at the minute. So yeah, that's the two ways you can get into it. Paul saying Newcastle GW was all Warcry tonight. No kill team this time, but did pick up the unmade to try Warcry or use as Chaos Cultists. I saw that, mate. So is that where you get into, mate? Do you get the Newcastle one, do you? Metro Centre is probably the closest one for me, but yeah, we'll have to have the game sometime, mate. Steve says, carry on, mate. You seem to be loving the hobby again. I went through a bit of a weird period, as I think I mentioned on the last live stream, and I'm kind of at peace with things. I think now it's I'm doing the stuff that I'm enjoying, really. So Temple Guard was your exact thought. Great minds and all that. PT, and I think red for the snake on the base if you're using red on the edge. Ooh, that is a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, that might not be a bad shout. Yeah. Paul saying phone's about to die, so gotta go. See you later, Palmsy, mate. And Tom D saying bye to Paul. And that's kind of everybody on a bit of a rattle there. So it's like, what is it now? It's 20 past 10. Let's keep cracking on until 10:30. I'll do a little bit more here. Bit across. I'll do a little bit more. So tidy those up now. So what did I do on the original one? Well, this one was kind of all kind of like chainmail, that one. Did quite a bit of silver. Cloth, I don't want to do the cloth green. That's going to be a bit weird, and I don't want to do the cloth red. That's for sure. I wonder if I go with like a beige or something like that, khaki colour or something. I think we'll have to come back to that one while I think about it. In the meantime, let's try red on this snake. I think I like the idea of it being red if I've been using red on the piping and stuff. The only side is, do I want to do first? This is the thing when you do it live on the stream. People get to see the thought process that goes into it. What do I want to do? What I want to do? You know what, folks? I don't think I am going to dive in and do that because I can't decide. So what I'll do in the meantime, I think we'll get the metallics out. We'll do some. Right, we're going to go with lead belcher, I think, for some of this. Just going to switch my brush. And we'll do some of the metallics while I'm deciding what to do with the other stuff. Lead belcher is a paint that always goes on. I don't know why. I don't know why it always goes on so nicely. Maybe it's just the metallic flexing and just makes it flow nice or whatever, but it always just seems to. Oops, get it on camera for you so you can see it. It always just seems to go on very nice. Oh, that's the little vial thing, isn't it? So let's do these metallics here. The guard on the back of the hand as well. Just as you start to kind of build up some of the colours, it just pulls everything together, doesn't it? Quite nice. And you start to get to a stage where you can start to see the model kind of taking shape a little bit. Well, I think this is the first time I've actually noticed that this model is actually kind of like dipping into the vial here, kind of where the poison is. I think that's the first time I've really noticed that. That's pretty cool. Also, he pops the new Apple shop each Wednesday. Medicine is easy to get to. We shall have a game. Yeah, that'd be cool, mate. Actually, it'd be good to meet up. And also, use more orange red. I always tend to use the an orangey red, mate. I really like to kind of highlight up with orange. So I tend to do Mephiston red as a base. I'll then go with Wild Rider Evil Sun's Scarlet as a bit of a highlight, and then I'll come up with Wild Rider red. So that tends to be my process. Get them on there. That tends to be my process for my reds. Turn that around so you can see the label. That tends to be my red process there. Kind of just dry brush up with these two really. Usually paint with this, maybe layer it on with that, and then maybe dry brush with that on the end. And it just seems to give a really nice kind of bright red to it. I've just seen there's a. Oh, that was you. Thank you very much, Paul. I've just seen that you've pledged there on Patreon. Thank you very much, buddy. You should see on the Patreon page now. You should see a link to the Discord server. There's people like Tim Kelly, Christian's in there as well. Who else is there? VJ is there. Paul Palms is in there. Who else we got? I forget who else is in there as well. But there's Robert Zunk's in there as well. So we've got a nice little kind of bunch of people just in there. People just, because everyone's on different time zones, people kind of pop in and chat amongst themselves as well. It's just turned into a nice little kind of hangout place, really. More because I never really thought it was, I never thought it was useful enough basically for a small amount of people. But I guess what's happened is because the live chats have become really busy, because the Facebook group's now pretty busy, it's just turned out to a nice little kind of little bonus place for people just to kind of hang out. And I mean, we're chatting about buying new trainers, and somebody was recommending a burger from Burger King the other day. It's just kind of it's almost just like kind of mates hanging out, really. So it's turned into quite a nice little kind of group. Well, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that. As I've mentioned before, Patreon's something that not everybody kind of always agrees with. However, for me personally, it's the best system out there for me to try and help to create a platform where, how do I describe it? Ultimately, I'm trying to make this more of a kind of like a part-time gig. If I could get to a point where I can kind of earn part-time wages out of this, I can almost walk away from my day job and start to do this full-time, really. For all it would be part-time money, with the support of my wife and her wages and stuff, and a few other little bits of side gigs, I could kind of walk away from my day job, and that's what this has always been about. I've got to a stage in my life where I kind of realised that money's not the main driver for me. Like it kind of was when I was younger, like trying to get a better job and earn more money and all that kind of stuff. These days, it's just it's more about happiness and sort of enjoying what I do in life and spending time with family and all that kind of stuff. And at the minute, I just don't have enough time alongside a full-time job and 3 kids and family. I don't have time to make more videos now. So Patreons are essentially helping me get to a point where I can break away. I can break away from a kind of a day job, start doing this as a full-time thing, and then ultimately what should happen is I have more time to make videos. I make more videos, I get more views, and I can start to earn my money from doing more videos and potentially promotion stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it's because of the help of Patreon supporters and people who pledge on here, and people who buy t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, and people who are YouTube members. It's all of that kind of stuff that'll help me get there. And then hopefully when I get there, I won't rely upon them so much at that point. So it's massively appreciated, mate. That's where it all is. In the short term, basically any money I make from Patreon or that kind of stuff, all goes into the running of the channel. Helps me buy things to play and to paint and to review and all that kind of stuff, and cameras and lights. And you wouldn't believe I've got three lights on here. I've got 2 cameras going. I've got 2 capture cards in my computer. Like all of these things, like I kind of pride myself on the quality of the streams being good, but unfortunately it all costs a lot of money. And it's stuff I've managed to build up over time with the help of really supportive Patreons, really, and a wife who buys me things for Christmas presents. So yeah, thank you, mate. Tanner Bonecloth. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think that's probably a good shout, mate. I'm looking for in my kind of. Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for like Zandri dust. That's what I was looking for. And maybe maybe bring it up with the what's it called? Something bone. Tony saying I miss the old bone gun metal, possibly the best metallic ever. Yes. Noxie saying I now be a Patreon. Yes, mate. Thank you very much. As I was just mentioning. I'm saying Vallejo makes really good metallics for the airbrush. Somebody else told me about that as well. And Vallejo whites apparently are P3 whites apparently are fantastic as well. I don't think I've got one, but yeah, somebody said that they're really, really nice as well. I'm at that stage now where this looks garbage and I absolutely hate it, but I know I have to power through it. That's the trick. That's the trick. I know that this isn't how it's meant to look when it's finished. I have to kind of power through and keep going. But I'm definitely at that point where I'm thinking, what the hell have you done? Yes. And I don't know why you get to that point. I think it's when it's like kind of 2/3 of your base coat. You start to think, geez, what have I done? This is where it's kind of picking out all the bits that you think should be certain weapons and metallics, and I just kind of base coat them in. I can always sort of highlight them, wash them, sort of cover them up, all that kind of stuff like later down the line. But at this stage, I'm just getting those bases in. A few spikes and stuff, and I'll tie that bit up later. But yeah, it's like I say, massively appreciated, Paul. Paul saying happy to help. Well, I'm happy for you to help me. Thank you very much. Yeah, when I first started doing YouTube stuff, I don't think I was really kind of quite prepared for just how much things would cost, because you get sucked into wanting to have kind of like better stuff. As things kind of start to grow, you feel the need to kind of push quality. Like when I first started, I was using a GoPro camera. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have any lights. I was using a GoPro camera, which I kind of have for holidays and stuff. And I was just using that, and I think that the first unboxing video I did, I basically unboxed it, and I also had like a kind of like a face camera like this as well. And the way I did it was I basically recorded it twice, and then edited the two cameras together, which obviously took twice as long. And it was just when you get to a point where you can spend money to improve quality, and then you reach a plateau. So at the minute, I would get no more benefit from like sort of buying a more expensive camera, that kind of stuff. But then when you start spending money at that point, it ends up being on things that make stuff faster. So decent editing software isn't cheap, but since I started paying for that, it speeds things up kind of dramatically, and I get through editing videos way faster now using decent software. It's just all those kind of things. Unfortunately, they all mount up, but it's kind of chicken and egg. There's not many channels that you'll find that get to a certain size and don't spend money on improving their quality. And the other side of it as well is that this is part of my hobby now as well. Like this is kind of like, obviously I love miniatures and I love gaming and stuff, but this is as important a part of my hobby now, being able to kind of make videos and interact with that wider community and stuff, and being able to do that in the best way I can. So, but I really am rambling tonight, aren't I? Oh, weird. Alcyon, can't get over how good that green looks, mate. Yeah, I tell you what, mate, I'm quite happy with it myself as well. Let me just get a bit closer to the camera as well. That's one layer as well. That green, just one layer. It's just a thin down green. Got no idea what the equivalent is these days. Probably been 2 or 3 versions of it since then. But yeah, I'm happy with how that one looks. That one's done. I'll tell you what, let's go through and do these metallics. How we're doing for time? 25. Let's finish these metallics, and then I think I'll call it a day there. But Bill saying, will your twin be making a comeback? So for those that didn't see it, I did a video a while ago reviewing a board game called Brothers, and I I used a green screen to kind of to make it look like I'd had a secret twin. So who knows, mate? Maybe for my 3-year anniversary, he might come back. Join me on a live stream. Now that would be good. If I could join on a live stream, how on earth would I do that with technology? That would have to be a very well scripted live stream, that's for sure. But yeah, I enjoy the kind of messing about with editing and stuff, and trying to trying to improve things and try little daft little new things like green screen stuff and that. I thought it was just a bit of fun, really. Glad you liked it, Phil. Glad you liked it. Well, well, we just had another Patreon as well, but it's pinged up as an email and then disappeared. So I have to wait until it comes through to see who it was. So whoever that was, thank you very much. Hopefully it should flash up on the screen. It's sometimes a bit of a delay from when I get the email to say it's been done to when it flashes up on the screen. Oh, I can see it on my screen there now. It's Anthony Howell. Thank you very much, Anthony Howell. I don't know if you're in the chat. Have I missed your name somewhere? Maybe you've got a secret name. Who knows, mate? But thank you very much, Anthony. If you're watching this or you're watching this back at some point, thank you very, very much. There we go, Tony Howell. Of course, it was the Anthony that threw me off. I keep giving you your Sunday name, mate. It completely threw me off. I thought it seemed familiar. You're a legend, buddy. Thank you very much. You did not need to do that. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. All right. We're kind of nearly halfway through them now. I've got like 3 more to do or something. And then I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to have a shower and I'm going to bed because then I'll be up again at about 5:30 in the morning with my little lad. So yeah, I mentioned before I've got 3 kids. I've got twin sons who are 17 in November, and they're from my first marriage. They live with their mum, not too far away, and they come and stay with me at weekends. And then I've got another son who's almost 3 now. He's a couple of weeks off being 3, and obviously he lives at home with me and my wife. So yeah, in between me and my wife both working away with our jobs. We both work for the same company and we kind of take turns being away from home. So in between the traveling with work, looking after the little one, a full-time job, sorting the kids out on weekends and stuff like that, YouTube time is quite a tight commodity. So that's why sometimes I don't always manage to get a video every week. And it's one of the reasons I started doing the live streams, because I know I'll always be home on a Monday night, or nearly always home on a Monday night. And that was why I started doing them, really, because it was something I could commit to and make a point of always having at least kind of 1 video a week. And it's kind of grown from there. I'm really happy with how the live stream stuff's kind of grown and took off a little bit. And other people have kind of told me that my live stream and stuff's kind of inspired them to give it a go as well. So if it's helped somebody else, then it's all good. What's interesting is though, there's not that many people do live stream and stuff. The guys from Top Table Gaming do one every other week. So I tend to tune in for that one and have a bit of a chat as well, catch up with those guys. The Doug from 2 Plus Tough, who has an awesome channel if you haven't seen his channel. He does live streams quite often. He does this kind of hobby hangout type stuff, to be fair. But we're just in different time zones, so I tend to miss them live. But I do tend to put them on as a bit of background podcast as well. So his streams are pretty good. Tabletop Minions does one every other Sunday. Is a really popular, but almost to the point where what he's saying is almost irrelevant, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. It ends up just being a bunch of people just in the chat having their own kind of conversations, and he's just almost there just to coordinate it, really. I mean, people do ask him questions and stuff, but the amount of people that's in his chats these days couldn't possibly answer every question he gets asked. So whilst I would love one day for my channel to be as big as his, I enjoy the fact that it's not, and that I do get to interact with everybody individually and say hello to everybody and we kind of add a little bit of personal touch, really, because I'm saying hopefully, if the channel does take off at some point in the future and it gets a bit bigger, there will come a point where it's going to be very difficult to kind of personally answer every message and to chat to every single person in the chat, and that'll be a shame, really. So I'm enjoying it while it's not big, if you like, as much as I would like the growth. Phil says, thought it was good. Did we name him in the end? I can't remember, mate. We did talk about, I think we did talk about on our live stream once about naming the twin. I can't remember what it was. There was a chat about it though. I do remember that now. I hadn't remembered it until you said that. I can't remember what it was, mate. Bobby says, I had the pleasure of helping out at a 40k charity event recently. Do you have any similar plans in the future with your channel or events at Element Games? I do, mate. So I have an event that is happening in the weekend of the 11th to the 13th of October. And it is called the Top Table Legacy Weekend 2. We've had one event before. It's at Stockport near Manchester at Element Games. And it is 3 full days of just kind of relaxed, fun gaming. The idea being that it is for people who are maybe not quite kind of confident enough to take part in a tournament. They just want to kind of ease into that kind of stuff. If you've ever kind of felt like you'd like to do a tournament, but always found that you're just a bit intimidated by it, or if you've been to tournaments and you actually find that the most fun part of the weekend is just the hanging out and having a few beers and that kind of stuff and playing kind of party games and stuff, that's exactly what the weekend is about, really. So it's got we do have some organized events. However, it is primarily kind of designed to be a fun, relaxed, sociable event. But we do have events for 40k. We have 2 events, one on the Saturday and one on the Sunday, for Middle Earth strategy battle games. We've got a Warcry event going on. We've got a Kings of War Vanguard event. We've got a Walking Dead event. We've got an Aristia event running. What else have we got? I've missed one out. Oh yeah, there's a Drowned Earth event going on as well. There is Mantic Games are going to be there doing demos of Kings of War 3. They've got a new game that they're demoing as well. Luke from Luke's APS is there as well, and he's going to be doing a terrain course over the Friday and the Saturday. All the tickets for that have already sold out, unfortunately, but he's going to be there. We've got Tommy Sewell there as well. Originally used to be Gollum Painting. He's going to be doing some kind of painting hangout with people, giving them some tips and helping out. We do a Friday. There's kind of like on the evening and stuff, there's casual gaming. There's plenty of space where you can just hang out and kind of paint and play. There's raffle that we do as well, where basically you can purchase raffle tickets, or you can earn raffle tickets by playing a new game or playing with a stranger. And then we have a big raffle on the Sunday. There is a pub quiz on the Saturday night, which I run. And basically myself and Jay and Steve from Top Table will be basically just hanging out with everybody for the 3 days, trying to make it as fun as possible, making sure everybody's included, nobody sits out. You get to try some new games, you get to demo some stuff. It's just a really fun weekend, mate. £35 for the entire weekend. Gets you a goodie bag, which has like £35 worth of stuff in it. And it also gets you into any amount of the events that you want to take part in. And Steve's saying there, weekender, can't wait. Yeah, me too, mate. Soon be here. Phil's saying, thanks for the show. Tony saying, love the channel, the community, and the chat. You deserve the support. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. And Noxie's saying, Wargamer Girl does a painting stream on Wednesdays now, but it's 2:30 to 4:30. I know because I mod it. I take a nap and then get back up. Bloody hell, mate. That is commitment. That is absolute commitment to the cause there. Yeah, Miranda has a great channel as well. She's been going for quite some time now as well, or it certainly feels like she has. I remember her back from the kind of War Machine days when I used to play in War Machine. Yeah, she's good at what she does, mate. She's definitely good at what she does. And to be fair, she deserves a lot more as well. So think that's not too bad. Got a little bit of metallics to do on this one, and then I'm going to call it a night, I think. At this point, I'm kind of just slapping these metallics on. A lot of this will get like washes over it. It'll get tidied up. It'll get like highlighted as well later on. So it looks a bit rough and ready at the minute, but when it does get finished, it'll look good enough, as they say. And good enough is good enough sometimes. In my day job, I kind of I work in product development and project management and stuff. And one thing I've learned with my day job is that perfection is unachievable, and sometimes just getting things finished and being good enough is good enough. So I think we'll paint the iron halo around here as well. I don't think I want that to be coloured, but I'll yeah, I think sometimes, especially with painting, you see all the pros in the heavy metal paint jobs and all that kind of stuff. You see what a good job they do, and you can get caught up trying to strive for perfection. There's a point where you're probably 80% of the way there, and everything after that's almost indistinguishable, really, if you're not at that really top level. But I do get to a point where it's like, yeah, that's done, move on. You can always go back and add highlights later on down the line, but I get more enjoyment from just actually completing something and finishing it than I do from trying to strive for a golden demon. So, right, and at that, I think we'll call that a night. So let me just close that pot, go back to the main camera. So then, folks, we've had a good stream of people, and it's kind of hovered around somewhere between 30 and 50 all night. That's not too bad. It's kind of, it makes this kind of stuff worthwhile. There's enough people in the chat, and there's enough chat going on that that's really loud. I apologise for that. There's enough people in the chat, and there's enough chat going on that it gives me stuff to talk about. Otherwise, I'd just be randomly kind of talking to myself, really. So thank you, every single one of you that's popped in tonight. Thank you to Paul and Tony there as well for the Patreon pledges. It is massively appreciated. Just doesn't, saying thank you doesn't really do justice really to how I feel about it. So it really is appreciated. Thank you, gents. I'll say to Noxie, it's dedication. Sounds disgusting, but dedication nonetheless. Yes. Noxie saying great stream. I'll saying he's off as well. So yeah, thanks very much, folks. I will certainly see you on Monday night in the live stream if you're around, and I'll try and give you a bit more notice next time we do another one of these painting sessions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.